just to get wet on purpose. I've been forcing myself not to forget, just to feel words.
You're listening to the documentary about the Pet Shop Boys on Radio 1.
We had to choose a name before we went to New York. We thought Pet Shop Boys sounded a bit too dodgy. It's like a lot of things that we do. Even now I feel a bit embarrassed about the name of the group. Oh yeah, what's the group? Oh yeah, Pet Shop Boys. And then we thought, oh sod it, we'll do it anyway. I had a friend in Liverpool, and his mum went, oh, that's a fruity name. and it is, isn't it? It just sounds like there's something funny going on. I mean, it's a true story though. I mean, it's the reason the whole name Pet Shop Boys came about was because I had some friends who worked in a pet shop, and we used to call them the Pet Shop Boys. We never really thought. Actually, we used to joke that it would be good to do "How Much Is That Dog in the Window" by the Pet Shop Boys, and then of course we took the name for ourselves.
I said, go back to England, get your partner, and I'll bring you back to New York, and we'll cut a record. And that's what we did.
We agreed that he would pay the studio time, and we would get together the money for the fares. As you know what, I'd have no money. I got a bank loan. Because Chris borrowed the money from his grandmother to go over, and I borrowed the money from the bank. We went to Unique Studios early in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. Bobby O programmed a drum machine.
He programmed a drum pattern, which I think was based on Billie Jean King. Billie Jean King? That's a tennis player. What was it called? Billie Jean. Right. It was basically just the same drum pattern as Billie Jean by Michael Jackson.
And Chris and I were just told to play. And we were completely nervous. And we started to play this instrumental we'd written. And I said, you can do that rap over this. Bobby comes through and says, oh, hey, this sounds great, guys. This sounds really good. And so, okay, let's do it. And so we both stood there and we played all live. Dum, 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 dum. And he put it onto tape straight away. And he says, right, now vocal.
When I heard those lyrics, West End Girls, I thought, this thing just needs that kind of dark choir, that droning choir in there, very Catholic, very Neanderthal-like. To this day, I don't really know what Neil was trying to say in it, but I have a feeling that it was pretty much pitting a West End against an East End, pitting a male against a female, being able to interchange them at some point, and one is an underground dive bar, and the other one is from a different side of town or society. It's very class-oriented. So I thought that the best way to merge the two is by creating a dark sound underneath it, like these dark choirs, and then on top of it having this kind of happy, bouncing bass line, which kind of was symbolic in some respects of the positive sides of it. It really isn't a disco record as much as it is a dance record with dark tones underneath it. That's why I think great art comes from suffering.
Half an hour later, that's West End Girls recorded.
Sometimes you're better off dead. There's a gun in your hand, it's pointing at your head. You think you're mad, too unstable, kicking in chairs and knocking down tables in a restaurant in a West End town. Call the police, there's a madman around, running down underground to a dive bar in a West End town. In a West End town, a dead end world. The East End boys and West End girls. In a West End town, a dead end world. East End boys and West End girls. West End girls.
We went back to England, and I remember going to Smash Hits because everyone wanted to hear what we'd done. I paid them lots of money.
I've had enough of scheming and messing around with jerks. My car is parked outside, I'm afraid it doesn't work. I'm looking for a partner, someone who gets things fixed. Ask yourself this question, do you want to be rich? I've got the brains, you've got the looks. Let's make lots of money. You've got the brawn, I've got the brains. Let's make lots of money.
And of course everyone was very trendy, and they all liked Pet Shop Boys, the hip-hop instrumental best. And I was too embarrassed to play people, West End Girls, because I thought it sounded too personal. And I didn't like I thought my voice sounded too wimpy doing the vocal. I used to play the songs to David Bostock, Scoffer, he was always known as, one of the designers at Smash Hits. And he was really quite encouraging about them. He was always known in the office for having good ears, Scoffer. He would tell you the Cure are going to be really popular and you'd think it'd be ridiculous. And then they weren't, all the rest of it.
But I guess the time I really realised that how good they were was when they came back from New York with his Bobby O demo, because I was the only person that Neil knew who had a double head tape deck. So I was basically duping up all his demos to send out to the record companies, and it was One More Chance, which was the track that really blew me away, that they'd done with Bobby O. And I just thought, wow, this is really, really good.
Just give me one more chance, just give me one more chance, just give me one more chance tonight.
One of the things I'm always staggered about the Pet Shop Boys is kind of Chris's dour demeanour that he has on stage. He used to bounce into the office and kind of be really full of what was going on. But he was desperate to design a page on the magazine, and I used to fob him off going, oh yes, Chris, yes, of course you can design a page on the magazine, no problem, no problem. But he did persist, he persisted, and I think he had a hand in designing an Aztec camera song lyric in Smash Hits, actually. Neil always had this idea that he'd be this Svengali record producer. I think he was always in kind of tongue-in-cheek way, sort of sit around imagining fictitious bands. And at the time we had sort of 3 young girls in the office, and he kind of invented a band called the Saturday Girls, which basically kind of very Bobby O style, 3 girls fronting his music. And in fact I managed to get into one of his imaginary bands, which was the spin-off band from Saturday Girls. They were called the Saturday Lads. The song he invented for us was very much a kind of Joy Division song called Vivisection. I'm sure you can imagine it because he used to sing it incessantly all day as he was doing his work, typing away, writing. He'd be playing an imaginary sort of Peter Hook bass going ding 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 ding, Vivisection, Vivisection. We only had one song. I think if I imagine right, he had some not very PC ideas for the video actually, but it was the early 80s.
Neil listens back to the Pet Shop Boys' first commissioned work, November 1996.
Stick it on, stick it on, stick it on, stick it on. The Smash Hits collection. Stick it on. 6 free stickers. Swap them on. 1 free album. Stick it on. With today's Smash Hits. Stick it on. Smash Hits. 6 free stickers. Pass it on.
Sorry, it's a masterpiece. It's an advert for a Smash Hits relaunch issue where they gave away an album and you put Panini, little Panini stickers in it. And Dave helped with Smash Hits very generously. Asked Chris and I to do the music. And we earned £500. It was actually the first thing we ever earned as musicians. So the first time West End Girls was released, that's the Bobby O version, it wasn't a hit.
That was the ambition fulfilled, was West End Girl being released. We'd made a record in New York with Bobby O and then being able to buy it on import from the dance shop, an official Bobby O record. So we'd achieved everything we'd ever wanted to. I could never imagine it being a hit. It just seemed ridiculous, you know.
Well, when West End Girls came out, we did some press. And the first interview we did, I did a telephone interview with Betty Page. And Betty Page said, well, what about the name, Neil? I said, well, you know, we had 2 friends who worked at Pet Shop, blah, blah, blah. And she said, oh, Neil, come on. Everyone knows where you got it from. And I said, what do you mean? She said, well, I'm not that naive, you know. I said, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean? She says, well, you know, it's gay slang in New York for this sexual perversion where you stick a hamster up your arse. And I was actually revolted. I said, what? She said, yo, don't pretend you don't know. Everyone knows about that in New York. I said, well, everyone may, but I've never heard of it. And I phoned up this friend of mine, David Keeps, New York. I said, do you know what Pet Shop Boys means in New York? And David Keeps said to me, wasn't it because you've got 2 friends who work in a pet shop or something? And I said, no, about putting hamsters up your bum. And he'd never heard of it, and I have a feeling he would have heard of it. So I think it's an urban myth. I think it's one of the great urban myths. And of course Richard Gere had the same thing attached to him several years later. But it's something that's followed us around.
I still don't believe that meaning anyway, the supposed meaning of the name Pet Shop Boys. Sexual practices with animals, or particularly hamsters or something. I still don't believe that anyone could possibly do that. And we certainly wouldn't base the name of our group on a deviant sexual practice. It's not the kind of thing we'd do.
And then, of course, the record came out. 2 weeks later, it's all over, isn't it? So that was that, really.